born and raised from Michigan. I lived in Minnesota for the past 10 years, and last May, or this May, will be my 1-year anniversary here in Los Angeles. I currently work in the film and TV production industry and entertainment business, I guess, and I'm aspiring director. I'm not like your normal filmmaker who wanted to do this from when they were born. I didn't have a camera in my hand making home videos at age 3. I actually was kind of in the opposite direction. I wanted to make a change in the world, but there was a part of me who was always wanting to be creative. Went to college. I did the normal thing people do after high school, and I was in pre-law. I decided that about halfway through, a couple of years in, that I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to be an artist of some sort. So that's when my true journey started. I moved to Minnesota, so then I made the jump across Lake Michigan, and I started school, art school, and I was in graphic design. I was dabbling in here and there, art, drawing, painting. Nothing really fulfilled me until I participated in a film production, feature film called Fallen City, and from then on I fell in love. It was my creative outlet that I was looking for, the release that I've been looking for, and it just fell in love. Hmong means to me resiliency. We've just been a resilient people our whole entire life, our whole entire history. We've always come across struggles, challenges, and we've always been able to adapt to it. We're nomadic people, you know, always traveling from our origins coming from China, and the struggles and things that we've had to deal with there, down in Southeast Asia and Thailand and in Laos, and then with the war, and even here, being first generation or second generation, however you look at it, just having parents who are immigrants and refugees, we as a people and as a community, it's crazy how far we've gone even in the 10 years that we've been here, or for some people the 75 or 80s. So resiliency is really what it means to me being Hmong, because we've always been in positions where we have to fight and survive and make the best out of it, and we continue living and we're still here. The biggest struggle that as an artist that I face is the balance of real world, being an adult, and pursuing your dreams and your passions. Being here in LA, it's been difficult. There's good days, there's bad days, you're busy, and some days you're twiddling your thumbs. But really it is a struggle to balance, because you have to be realistic, because you want to feed yourself, you have bills to pay and things, obligations that you are forced to attend to, but yet there's a part of you that wants to live the American dream, that wants to follow your passion and be an artist and do what your heart's telling you to do. So I think that's been the biggest struggle, is just finding the balance of when can I do what I want to do when effectively. I was born and raised in a rural town called Ridgeville. I'm gonna point it out, you know you're from Michigan when you do the hand thing. So I grew up here, in a rural town. It was basically a population of like 100 people. We had like one blinking light that was like yellow, actually. It wasn't even a red light. So that's where I grew up. My parents landed in '75 in Texas, so they were very isolated as well. And so the reason why they moved to Michigan was because my other uncles were there. So I'm the youngest of 5. I grew up in a rural town. It was great because I had my cousins, my uncles, and so I was around other Hmong people, but it was still very, it was just our families that were in that town. Of course, so it was different. Like, I always thought that every family had a rice cooker, and that everyone ate the same things that we did. But then I would go over to a friend's house and they didn't have rice, and I would ask, "Oh, can I get rice with my chicken?" And they're like, "We don't have rice." And so it was just those little things, those little nuances that you face, that they didn't look like you. They would point it out. So it's not even that they didn't look like you and you didn't think anything different, but it was the fact that they pointed out that you were different. And not just kids and peers, because people always say that that's a kid being a kid, but it would be adults pointing out the fact that you were different. So that was always a challenge. So of course it didn't help anymore that not only was I in a very rural town I grew up in, that I moved in high school up here, and my parents did a restaurant, as a lot of people may know if you're from Michigan. They do restaurants. So my parents did a restaurant, and basically the town that we moved to, we were the only Asian family there. There were maybe 2 other Asian people. One was adopted, or they both were adopted. But it was the point that they asked like my siblings if they were foreign exchange students. So it's definitely a big identity struggle that I went through as far as like growing up, understanding where my place was here in the States, being American, being Hmong American. So it was definitely made me who I am today, and the struggles, I wouldn't change it. A lot of them, like people will think, oh my god, I can't believe you did that. But you know, a lot of it was they're naive. They never had to deal with Asian people before, and they didn't know how to deal with it. Doesn't necessarily make it right, but I think that's where I learned that I had to be the person to educate them, to make sure that they knew that it's okay to ask questions about what my background is, but it's not necessarily okay to point out that I'm different. The CIA war definitely has affected me. One, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have the opportunities that I've been presented with living in the States. I personally wasn't affected with it like by the war per se. I was born here in the States, so I was fortunate in that sense where I don't know firsthand what it was to be affected by it. My parents came in '75. And just hearing stories about their struggles, you know, my dad was a teacher, so he wasn't necessarily fighting in the war, but he was doing a lot of translating and doing teaching on military bases. So but it's still, like, the struggle is still real. Everyone has their own story, everyone has their own journey, and it just goes back to the struggle, to find peace, to not be persecuted, and whether or not it's someone's story is a little bit different, that's the same theme that I find that's made us who we are today. That's why we were able to thrive in the States, I think, because we were put into situations where we really have to dig deep and just find a way to survive and make the best out of it. So being a Hmong American female producer director I think it's got its double layer of challenges and struggles that I've faced. I think within Hollywood itself, I know that it's been brought up to light recently with some lawsuits and stuff like that. It's got its own challenges, but for me, I feel like not only being female, but a person of color, so being a Hmong American Asian female, it's definitely been really tough because, one, being an Asian female, a lot of people think that, oh, she's going to be submissive, she's quiet, she's timid, she doesn't have anything to say. Boy, do I have to tell you, I have lots to say, and I am not afraid to say it. So that's definitely been the most challenging, is that getting on set and being in a position where I can tell people what to do. You know, you get into that crossroad of being called bitchy or bossy or she's this or that. You know, you have those double standards, and it's unfortunate, but you just have to persevere through it. It's going to be a tough road, and I think that we're starting to get there. We still have a long road ahead of us, but I think that's been the biggest challenge, is being heard, being taken seriously, and yeah. Coming out here, it was very difficult to just say, hey, I want to be a director, and then get a directing role. So I have been working on the production side of things coming out here. So I've worked on a lot of TV shows like The Voice, Celebrity Apprentice. I've worked on some other shows. I've been pretty busy and very fortunate to have met a lot of great people to give me opportunities to work on features, reality, TV shows and things like that. And just been working on the backside as a production assistant, a production coordinator, doing different things. And I've also like second AC'd and gripped on things as well. So for me, it's been the challenge of finding how can I support myself and also balance writing, directing, producing my own content so that I can present that to people. Also familiarize myself with the community here, the business, the entertainment, because even though I had experience back in the Midwest, it's definitely on a much larger scale here, and it's great because you see things that they do and you understand and you know what they're doing, but it's just such a larger scope. So when I worked in The Voice, it's the current season that's airing right now, so with Christina, I did get to see them. I didn't quite get to meet them. I mean, they, like, Carson nodded and smiled at me, but everyone was like in a live show and during like a break and stuff. I mainly worked with contestants, so I was working with them, bringing them, letting them know where they need to be, when they need to be. So I got to meet a lot of the contestants, actually got to know them very well. But I did get to meet the judges and Carson from afar. I mean, it was like the hey, hey, and then kind of get out of their way. But you know, you get to see a lot of stars here and celebrities, and it's interesting to see them in person because because it's you know, you see them on TV and it's such glitz and glamorous, and then you see them in like normal people, which is kind of humbling. Generally, my advice would be, don't be afraid of the unknown. Really, you have so many opportunities at your fingertips, so many resources, that don't be afraid. If you're interested in something, explore, discover, figure out if you like it. You have that privilege to do that here, so really, don't be afraid of the unknown. Be passionate, be driven, be determined, because it's not easy. Don't get me wrong, like, follow your heart, do what your heart's desires are, but be realistic as well, because you have to be very passionate, you have to be driven, you have to be determined, and take initiative, because you are the only person in control of yourself and your actions. And so if you really want something, do it. Just do it.